And what's even better is Jeff Daniels plays a character called Charlie Croker.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
No, not him. This guy.
Charlie Croker is the biggest hero of real estate in Atlanta.
There are many great mysteries that will probably always trouble humanity. Great thinkers, great scientists, philosophers have perhaps always looked for the answer to questions like why do cows sit down before it rains, and why does Marmite change colour when you hit it over and over again with a spoon. Now, perhaps we'll never know the answers to those questions. Similarly, there's a question that has been troubling me, which is why has A Man in Full not been talked about more, including by Netflix, who made the show? Because this is a program that is created by David E. Kelley. Now, in an age of lots and lots of streaming content, it doesn't surprise me that not everything gets shouted about, but David E. Kelley has quite a lot of pedigree when it comes to TV. He's the mind behind some of the older shows. I could mention like Ally McBeal, Boston Legal, shows that have a lot of credibility in TV terms and have been very successful in more recent times. Big Little Lies, The Undoing, Nine Perfect Strangers, all shows that people have enjoyed and have had quite a lot of buzz around them. Now, he's behind A Man in Full, which in turn is based on a Tom Wolfe novel, which is particularly relatively well known and successful, and also the show has Lucy Liu in it, but it also has this guy. Now that's Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels is in a show with Lucy Liu and David E. Kelley, yet most people don't seem to have been talking about it. This is Jeff Daniels. This is a man who was able to command screen time during Dumb and Dumber, a film where Jim Carrey literally melted the scenery. But Jeff Daniels was still there on the screen, which is an amazing feat for any actor to do. And he's not just been in that, he's been in loads of stuff, including one of my personal favourite performances, which is in Aaron Sorkin's The Newsroom, where he likes to do the news as Will McAvoy, the anchor of the show. Now, that's one of those shows that a lot of people say, well, it's not as good as The West Wing. No, it wasn't as good as The West Wing, but it's not as bad as a lot of people like to make out.
Sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. We're 7th in literacy, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite?
Now, in this show, we've got Jeff Daniels, we've got David E. Kelley. We got ourselves some good TV. And what's even better is Jeff Daniels plays a character called Charlie Croker.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off!
No, not him. This guy.
Charlie Croker is the biggest hero of real estate in Atlanta. The problem is, he's going bankrupt.
Jesus balls almighty. Mr. Croker, party's over.
And although this Charlie Croker probably would appreciate the words and maybe the music of the Self-Preservation Society, he is not a crafty cockney trying to pull off an audacious gold bullion heist in northern Italy with the help of some other cockneys and Benny Hill to boot. This is a Atlanta, Georgia real estate magnate who has made his fortune, but now things are starting to go wrong for him. The bank are calling in the debts and his world is starting to unravel very quickly. But what's great about this show is that Jeff Daniels is in it, and at the absolute heart of it, here is a character, Charlie Croker, who is never ever going to say, "You got me." He's never going to give up.
You won't take your shot. You better make it your best one. Nothing can kill me. I'm not sure who the hell you think you're talking to. I'm talking to a shithead.
At the heart of this is a story of banks trying to call in debt to bring down Charlie Croker. There are two particular bankers who take this all very personally, and we see an interesting interplay develop between them and between Charlie Croker himself, who is played fantastically well as a kind of strongman character by Jeff Daniels. So strong, in fact, that at one point he invites a load of people round to his ranch and wrestles with a snake to prove just how strong he is and how he is not going to roll over.
I'm tougher than all you put together.
It would be insensitive to fight you given your diagnosis. Excuse me? We got hold of your medical records. Turns out you're a pussy.
There are a couple of other major storylines that intertwine with those of Croker, some involving his employees, and one in particular who ends up with her husband in prison after an altercation with a policeman, and that one pans out kind of in the background and comes and goes throughout the series, tying together nicely with everything else that's going on. There is also a story around his ex-wife, and there is a story that continues to go on around the politics of Atlanta and the re-election of a mayor who happens to be connected to both Croker and various other elements of the story. Now, because this is shiny buildings, big money, politics, there will be a lot of comparisons to Succession, and yes, there are elements of it that do make you feel that they certainly are cut from the same cloth. There's a certain satirical, humorous element to it which comes and goes, which does give you that feeling. And, you know, the central character, he's no Logan Roy, but there is definitely a sense that the characters have some similarities. For me, it's probably a little bit more like Billions, if you've seen that. It is a big, glossy, bold, shiny show. It's not got anywhere near as many of the characters and storylines and connections as Succession does, and I don't think it's designed to. This is a one-off limited series, as Netflix would call it, and it works really well in the round. However, if you're expecting something that's going to spiral off into this whole universe that we got from Succession over several seasons, I don't think you're going to be very happy. However, if you are looking for a show that has a interesting, satisfying, quirky at times arc of a story that takes you to lots of interesting characters doing some quite weird stuff at times, and with some very good performances, not least from Jeff Daniels, but from some of the supporting cast as well, I think you're gonna enjoy A Man in Full.